Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Cutthroat Cure.
This is Gaston.
And this is Justin.
So first and foremost, before we get into our topic for the night, I just wanted to throw out a little bit of just a public service announcement for anybody who did see Kevin or Dowdark's post. He is taking some time off from the channel for some personal medical issues that he is going to be going through. So you may not see some of our battle reports for a while, but we will still be doing Turn Extension to keep you all in the know with what's going on with Advanced Maneuvers. And, you know, we want to thank everybody who does listen to us and, you know, say that Advanced Maneuvers is in no way over. We're just taking a little break to make sure that we take care of ourselves.
Yep, yeah, and that's a great point. And because Kevin is stepping away from the channel for a little bit, we are not going to be posting this on YouTube in the original format. We might try to do something in the future, either like Twitch or Facebook, or just keep doing what we're doing, but at least it's going to be posted up on Podbean and on iTunes. All right, so our topic today. So Devin brought up a really good point on we're really getting into the hot and heavy of convention season. So what do you guys do for prepping conventions? For me, I'm really curious about it because it's actually been a while since I've prepped to go to a convention to play. I think the last one was when Mark III released, so I was still playing Signar. So this is a benefit, at least for me, you know, where I'm thinking about with Crucible Guard coming out, you know, what do you guys do to prep?
So that would have been Lock and Load 2 years ago when we all went, is the last time you went to a major convention that you actually had to prep.
Yep, it is.
That's funny because it's actually 2 years to the date this weekend.
Which is crazy.
Yep. Well, stuff happens when you're having kids.
I know.
So Mark IV then?
Wait, what? No, Mark IV is not when I will play again. I'm prepping for at least 2 conventions this year. Well, we'll see if one actually happens.
I'm pretty sure that Crawford Con doesn't count.
No, not Crawford Con. Nova Open, and if PAX Unplugs has games, that's what I will be doing.
Wait,
That
is
is
there
a
actually
high
going to be a
bar.
Crawford Con?
There's not a Crawford Con. I'm trying to get people up at some point to play some more games because I have my. Anyway, we'll talk about that after.
You almost doubled the attendance right there.
I'm gonna talk to Justin about it after this now. All right. So Devin, why don't you start us off then?
So, as some people might know, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have the 22nd Lock and Load 2018 will be happening in Bellevue, Washington, right outside of Seattle. And I know myself from the cast will be going to it. And we decided when we were talking about it, I go to a decent amount of conventions throughout the year. And when Tony and I were talking, we figured, you know, what were some of the things that you should be prepared for when, you know, basically getting ready for a convention, whether it's one you have to drive to or whether it's one you have to fly to. I know myself, I drive to Chicago every year for Adepticon, so I'm allowed to take a decent amount more to that convention than I would.
One of the things he obviously cannot take to conventions is a small child.
That is true. So while he's having doing that, actually, do one of you guys else want to jump in and talk about it?
Yes, Justin can.
Yes. Justin, who is
Okay.
prepping for a crazy amount of conventions.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, not Lock and Load, right? I just can't fit it into my schedule this year. But I think, like, a good place to start off, I think what Devin was going to allude to is, like, you should definitely consider the types of lists that you're going to be bringing to these conventions. For those of you who have not flown out for a convention before, like going through security at an airport is definitely a consideration of like what kind of models you can bring, and like the cost of travel and what you planning to buy at a particular convention center should probably factor in as well. Now, honestly, if you're playing to compete and do as well as you can in Masters or in Champions or any other like competitive format, then it should be a pretty low tier consideration, but it's still something that you should consider.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Back to Devin.
All right.
So I go to as I said, I drive to Chicago every year, so getting to take a lot more to that convention is a little bit easier than, say, when I fly out to Seattle, because depending on the flight and everything else, you're very limited. One piece of advice I'll give to any person who's going to be flying to a convention within the United States is be very conscientious of the bag charges on a flight. There is nothing that will hurt you more than unsuspecting bag charges and basically getting onto a flight or trying to carry on your bag and realizing that you're not allowed to carry your bag on, that it has to be checked because of a charge, or you have to pay so much to basically bring your bag on that you can't get anything at the convention. And I've had people had that happen before in the past. So one thing I always tell people is, Southwest is one of the best flights when it comes to taking your Army with you because they have very large over the seat racks, and they allow you to basically take a ton of bags on. United would be second best. Spirit Airlines is the absolute worst, and they make you pay for everything except for a laptop bag.
Yeah, I second the Spirit Airlines being the worst. I've also had a awesome experience with both Alaska Airlines and they used to the Virgin Airlines, which used to be Virgin before Alaska bought them out.
One rule I do have when I'm packing up and getting on flights is no battle engines in my lists. No huge bases. It's not worth it. It's not
How are
worth
you
the
gonna do
pain.
the jacket aisle then in the future? Come on, Herman.
I don't even know what that is.
That's what I'm really concerned about actually going to WTC, because I think I need a huge base to deal with Halo 3, and I don't know. I haven't gone to an overseas con yet. I've gone nationally to a bunch of different cons and flown out, but
So the way that I tell people, and as I said, I've never been to an international con, but I will guarantee it's probably very much the same way, is that almost every flight, and that includes Spirit, allows you to bring on and I'm doing the quotations over here, a laptop bag. And it's not up to them to denote what is considered a laptop bag, other than usually they sometimes have a size requirement. So I will often take a small backpack, and other than my glass case, which is what I carry a lot of my large models with, if I can't take that with me, then I will go and get Rubbermaid containers that can be sealed easily, and I will actually blue tack my large model inside of my backpack and take it on the plane with me, and then basically either put it under my seat or something like that. And there's usually not too much they can say to stop you.
That's interesting, because I did Spirit once, not for pleasure, but for work, and it was awful, just fucking awful.
Yeah, I just went to last year. I took one of the worst mistakes I ever made was I took Spirit to Lock and Load 2017, and I had never flown Spirit before, but looking at the prices and everything, and it met the schedule I want, I was just blown away. And it's like they have so many, you've got to really read, no matter what flight you're on, you've got to really read about when you can do bag stuff, because I actually found out that because I didn't buy my bags when I bought my plane ticket, they actually charged me $50 more to check my bags.
Fucking monsters.
And if I had done it at the actual door, if I had done it actually when I took my bags in, they would have charged me $80. So I actually stepped away from the counter and actually bought it on my phone, 3 feet from the woman who was supposed to take my bag, and then was like, See, I bought it before I checked in, and then had her take it. So, you just got to be savvy about stuff like that. Some important things to always take with you if you can, or at least, so when you go into a convention, one of the biggest things you're going to be doing is just playing games all day or having fun or, visiting with friends. And one of the biggest things that can happen is you can actually lose all of your energy and basically your strength and stuff just by being in the hall all day, or and anything convention halls are good for are absolutely taking every dime you have if it's possible. So it's always good to do things like take, right when you get to the convention or to the hotel, go out, find a local grocery store, buy yourself some snacks that are easy to carry, and then basically take them with you, and that'll save you so much money throughout the day and, keep you going, and you'll be able to play and focus easier and longer. Make sure you set across a budget. That's always a huge thing. And also plan for space that if you're going to buy something at a convention, you're able to get it home.
Yeah,
budgets are a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Go crazy.
Yeah, don't budget anything at all. Just go insane.
Or
if there's one thing that Hungerford likes to shower with, it's singles.
Well, so the funny part is that when you go to Lock and Load, it's actually Matt Wilson who takes all your money the entire time you're there. He's the one working the register. So you actually hand Matt Wilson all of your singles the entire time you're there.
And I will say, he handled my money very well. Very well.
Damn it. I should have given you my Rhea Dawnbringer. Darn it. All right. Fuck.
What?
I wanted to get a card signed by Matt Wilson. Or Magic
all you gotta do, Justin, is just put it in the mail in like a hard sleeve and just send it to me. I don't leave until Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, so Justin. So I know you were talking about some of the stuff you do. Before we jump into questions, anything else you kind of look at doing while you're preparing? Anything actually game-wise you're doing?
Yeah, so speaking a little bit more on the competitive level, when you go to a national con, I think a lot of people expect that they can just play their local steamroller lists and be fine. I mean, if you're trying to be competitive at this particular con, you need to study up on the national meta, what people are playing across the country, what the Texas meta is playing, what the Jersey meta is playing, and even when it's a national con here, consider what the Canadians are playing and what the English are playing, actually, even. Expect to see a lot of super competitive lists. They're not going to be lists that you're going to have at your local meta unless there are pilots for those kinds of lists, Haley 3, for example, or the Maylock and all the Gators in the spam, or any faction which every faction has those lists. Be prepared to see them and kind of tailor your lists to be able to compete at that level. Sorry.
Keep going.
And I think the most important part is practice with your lists. I think you're going to have a lot more fun at a con when your lists are so practiced to the point where they are, second nature, or that, you don't have to, think so much about them. I would not recommend, say, if you're, playing Menoth and this is your first con with Harbinger and really the only, the first time you're playing Harbinger competitively, to bring Harbinger to a list. Your brain will be mush after, 3 or 4 games, and you have an entire con to go
From what? All she does is roll martyrdom.
Damn.
Your brain is going to be mushed from figuring out what a D3 is.
It's a lot of positioning, things.
And it's a 12-inch bubble now.
Not yet.
Ask anyone. 2 inches is a big deal.
It is a huge deal. Not yet. I'm not even sure it's going to be out before Lock and Load.
I don't think it will be. No.
I actually didn't think the Nemo nerf would be out before Lock and Load.
I'm surprised.
I guess it surprised
dropped.
me there.
Yeah.
That was a pretty huge one dropping. I was really surprised about that.
Yep. And so, like, I mean, like, practice with your lists. Don't get, you know, bogged down by these games, because at the end of the day, you're going to these cons to enjoy yourselves. Like, you want to be able to go out and have dinner with all of your new friends and, like, people that you're going there, you know, and you go out and have fun, and you're not going to be able to do that if, like, you're just going to bed at 9 p.m. because you're too tired.
Also, don't let bad games ruin your mood, because nothing is more, you know, when you get these experiences and these chances to go out and hang out with your friends who you may not get to hang out with in a new place, you know, letting a bad game or a bad matchup or a bad decision ruin your mood can actually ruin fun for other people. As we have experienced, as we personally experienced, did we not, Justin, when we were in Chicago?
I'm not. We have picture evidence, I guess. So
yeah,
I'm
but
still
I
not
mean,
gonna name
I'm not saying any names, or any people, but the simple fact is, it had nothing to do with our company. It had nothing to do with getting to hang out. But bad games, bad matchups during a game ruined his mood, and it, like, really, you know, he wasn't able to enjoy, you know, us all getting to hang out in a new city.
We're eating pizza too. He loves pizza.
And another thing to watch out, and nobody ever expects this, is you mentioned the UK meta, you mentioned the Canadian meta, but the meta, especially when you go to a major convention, that you got to watch out for is the Australian meta, because their meta is unlike any meta that exists. They don't listen to anybody, and it's just bonkers.
The other thing that I'd recommend from a practical standpoint is go into, like, Excel or Google Sheets and make a spreadsheet, you know, kind of make a list of all the big things that you're going to see. Take your two-list pair as a column and then start rating things. Say this is an expressly bad matchup for this list. Would be red. You know, yellow would be kind of a toss-up. Green would be something where you think you're favored in. And then on the notes column, say, you know, deviations from your normal strategy, such as if you're playing into Magnus 2, then you possibly want to go second, so that way they don't double score on you, or you want to actually ambush things where you would normally advance deploy them. Just a little bit of preparation can actually go a long way, even if you've never actually played the matchup before.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting point. Something I wouldn't have thought about, especially the second part where it's saying, hey, if this happens, then I want to do this instead. That's pretty clever.
Don't also restrict yourself. Like, just because you're planning to do something for a convention, whether it's hobby related or it's tournament related, don't restrict yourself to just that event. Like, if you are going and you want to participate in a tournament and you just really feel stressed out about the event and you don't feel like it's going to be the best situation for you, don't feel like you have to participate, because there's so many people that I've seen go to events and they thought they were going to do something, or they had just the entire time prepped themselves for that one event or one, you know, ability, and then basically when it wasn't going well for them, it just ruined their entire trip. And, you know, it's horrible when you spend literally hundreds of dollars to go to an event. I mean, just a ticket to go to Lock and Load is $75, and that's not even including what you're going to have to pay for, you know, the plane ticket and your hotel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are always big things to pay attention to. There's always going to be more stuff to do at a convention than just tournaments. So, you know, I think some people get into like getting their blinders, and then they end up having a bad time when, you know, they just didn't just allow themselves to relax.
Yeah, to build off of that point, like every single con that I go to, my focus is always, like, you know, Masters and Champions or any other format that qualifies me for some kind of, like, final table, like, thing that's going to happen on the Sunday, for example. But I always sign up for the side events. Even if I don't end up going to them because I'm either too tired or I want to go hang out with other friends, I'll sign up for them. Just because, like, I'll eventually, like, want to play into them. If I scrub out in, you know, Masters, I want to play some Speed Machine or some Spell Draft or, you know, whatever. it's still like I'm going to this con to play this game in all kind of forms. And sometimes that can also add into your luggage, so you might want to take that into consideration. It depends on how badly you want a power game like Speed Machine. But, you know, like, I do recommend the side events as well. There are plenty of cons that I've only come home with, like, trophies or plaques in, like, quote-unquote non-competitive side events, but it's still a very fulfilling feeling.
And of course,
Also-
the best thing about Warmachine, as opposed to any other game, is that painting's optional.
That is very true. Everyone loves when painting's optional.
Just like pants.
Those are definitely optional.
Another important note for convention goers, especially when it's involving Warmachine and Hordes gameplay, is the Iron Arena is always there. If you want to go to a convention and you don't want to particularly play in a super competitive format, then Iron Arena is always there, and most of the times you can get some pretty cool stuff about that. That being said, Iron Arena is just that, a non-competitive event.
Don't try to game Iron Arena. There are a lot of cool prizes.
You should totally game
Iron Arena. There are so many cool posters you can get there. Definitely game
If there's
Iron
a
Arena for the
prize,
posters.
it's
I am
competitive.
pretty sure the rule that they have for not being able to submit like more than one game result within 40 minutes is because of me at TempleCon. Really?
Dude, we definitely got some sweet stuff there.
And I mean, it's always funny because you'll go and you'll play in Iron Arena, and you'll go against somebody who, you know, they're bringing a fun list, and you'll have these people who are playing like bloodthirsty Haley list right into like somebody playing their like Barnabas list for no reason, you know? And so this year, I know, as a fun little thing, if you play myself or a few of my friends at Lock and Load this year, if you're going to be there, we will be giving out U1 Iron Arena pins for those people who are inclined to get them.
What? I want that.
Whoa! Like an Amanal like lapel pin?
Like an actual, like a button pin, like buttons of sorts.
Wait,
Like a,
Wait, so
you've
do you
had
actually have to
one,
beat
like
them?
soccer leagues, or?
no, they don't
I'm
have to beat us.
confused. What is this?
Then how did they win?
It's kind of a double thing. It's one of those things like, hey, if you play us, you'll get a button that says I won the Iron Arena. And if we play into you and you're being a real asshole and just trying to, or we see you just like really gaming somebody, you know, it's kind of a, hey, look, good for you. You won the Iron Arena.
Okay.
Okay.
I still
Yeah. The real question is, where can I get this pen and not at Lock and Load?
Exactly. Now I want it.
Maybe I'll bring you one back.
Okay. All right.
But what are some of the questions? I know when we were looking on our Facebook, Tony, there was a lot of questions that people had. What are some of those questions?
Yep. So the first one was by I'm gonna butcher some names, so I apologize. Elis3. So it was thinking about starting a small local con circuit, seeing as I'm sub 6 hours drive from MomCon, Warmachine weekend, WITC, and ATC. What's a good checklist for a good first-time con attender?
So is he just starting the con, or is he trying to just go to one?
So I think he's trying to start doing a couple of these cons, but he just wants to know what's a good checklist for the first time. I think a lot of stuff we kind of talked about, actually in the very beginning, is a really good checklist.
Definitely. So snacks are a good one. Bring your army. It's always good to have extra dice and extra measuring tool, because nothing sucks more than when your ruler decides that convention is the time to give up the ghost. And there are just some conventions like Lock and Load, you know, you just can't buy a measuring tool. I remember when I'm pretty sure it was Donnie, had to use the actual measuring tool from the starter box at Lock and Load because his gave up the ghost. So he's sitting there at a table using that white fold-out, trying to measure everything with it. Otherwise, you know, stuff like that's always a big thing. it's always better to pack light when it comes to like clothes because deodorant. You have to have deodorant.
Bring
you might
deodorant.
actually want to
bring deodorant and bring Febreze.
Well, I don't know about Febreze. It's pretty embarrassing when someone's just like spraying Febreze, but deodorant's definitely a good one. We're all a brotherhood here, so if you see somebody and they're getting on with the convention stink on, you just can say, "Hey, man, you need some deodorant." And sometimes a friendly nudge like that, they probably know that they're in the zone or they know that they're getting to the zone.
I'll add to that Purell, like hand sanitizers. It will save your life, like when you come back. When you don't have the con flu, you'll be very happy.
That's why they call it the convention crud.
Yeah, I was gonna say just to get the con crud, or try to stave off of it. Drink tons of water that weekend. I think
orange juice.
And orange juice, because at least the thing I've seen most is when you're playing these games, you're not paying attention, and if people are drinking sodas, you're gonna get dehydrated. You're gonna get dehydrated. You're gonna have a bad day.
Find out where your local Subway is. Like, if you aren't going to be able to go out and get some really tasty food, like, definitely try and schedule to go out at least to one big place during your trip because, nothing's better than getting to try, like, something brand new in a place that's far away. But also, like, for me, I know at the old convention center for Lock and Load, I knew exactly where the local Subway was, because it was so easy, especially when playing a tournament, to go and get like a foot-long sub, eat half of it, and then store half of it so that as soon as I started getting real hungry, I could just eat something right away, because letting your blood sugar drop and stuff like that is a good way to like make yourself sick and open yourself up for the con crud.
Anything else anyone wants to add on?
Practice and
Nerds are
preparation.
fucking disgusting. Jesus.
You are a nerd as well. Yeah. Just letting you know. You're just as
I like to
disgusting.
lick my fingers and touch my opponent's dice.
Oh, I like to get Cheeto fingers on before I touch other people's models.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's awesome. All right, so next question is, do you prefer getting there the day of or the night before a con? By David Canty.
Night before, I need my beauty sleep. I'm fucking old.
It depends on the location. I know when I went to Adepticon, we drove up the day before it officially started, and that just gets you ready and situated, and especially if you're playing in a tournament. But say since I'm spending the money to go to Seattle anyways, I'm going up a few days early just because it allows me to visit with some of the friends that live up there and get to experience some of the I'm basically using vacation time for this convention, so getting to do some other stuff other than just sit inside of a gaming hall throwing dice all day is kind of nice sometimes.
I also think it depends on. I almost personally I would go to every single con ahead of time and explore the city and do everything that everybody else has said here. But I think it really it might depend on what you're going to the con for. Most of these miniatures and tabletop gaming conventions that we're talking about aren't very much like the Comic-Cons that you might go to, and so there's a bit of a different reason why you're going to these cons. If you're going there to play in a competitive event that's going to last for the whole day and it starts at 9 a.m., I'm not sure you want to get there the day of at 8 a.m. check into your you probably can't even check into your hotel room at that point, and then just have to play through 12 hours of an event and then go check into your hotel room. I think but if you're there to actually just explore the con, if you're not there for a particular game, if you're just there to see things, shop for miniatures, and watch games, and maybe play a bunch of demo games and things like that, I can totally see somebody just showing up the day of, and if that's more their jam. So I do want to offer that kind of alternative too. I think a lot of us are coming from the fact that we're going to be there for a particular game, but I think, somebody like going to Gen Con, I'm not sure they're going to be going there for like a particular game.
That's true.
Make sure you keep on top of your flights. I know when we were doing Adepticon, we had 2 people who, if they had not kept on top of their flights, they would have missed the convention.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, planes, things happen with planes, weather happens, keep the lines open and make sure you have a backup plan. Because, like, I know I know that there's been people who have had, going to a convention, and then in the middle of it, they have to figure out, oh my gosh, where am I going to stay because the hotel overbooked, So stuff like that, it's always good to get, contact your friends or the people that are local, because they usually can help you with that rather easily.
All right, so next question is from Benoit Van Lee. So it's 2 questions. So first one is, how many cans of deodorant or air freshener you think is enough?
Oh, jeez.
2.
It's not that bad.
I always bring 2 because nothing sucks more than when you bring a stick of deodorant, especially if it's like a powder type, and it melts in your bag, and then you're like, fuck, I don't have any deodorant. What am I going to do? Sometimes it's nice if you are around a friend and they're like, hey, do you have any deodorant? Can I, grab some? It depends on how much of a germaphobe you are, because, you definitely don't want your friends to be stinking, especially if you're hanging out. So, throwing them a little bit of deodorant sometimes helps.
That is true. Actually, that when I went to Lock and Load, they actually lost my bag, so I didn't have my bags the first night. Luckily, someone had some deodorant for me, which was very grateful. Is that
why you wore a dress the whole time?
Yeah, because the only thing I packed as a bring-on was my Warmachine army, because I didn't want that to get lost. But my actual clothes ended up in like Milwaukee for a day.
I've never worn deodorant in my entire life.
I only wear...
What?
So I don't sweat. I don't wear deodorant usually. I probably haven't put deodorant on since Adepticon. I will put deodorant on mainly for the thing of, hey, is there a possibility it's going to be hot and stressful and I could get stinky? Maybe, but it's like I don't really sweat unless like it's like super stressful or like ungodly hot. So I'll just put it on as just like sometimes as a safety measure, but nobody has ever been like, Devin, you've got a little stink going on.
I'm definitely going to say it to you at Nova Open now.
God, I hope you try.
Devin, you got a stink going on.
Because I'm going to stuff your nose right into my pit.
God damn it. The 2 of you. Neither of you guys wear deodorant. You're terrible.
I don't. I take at least 2 showers a day. At least.
Think of how much money we save, Justin.
I don't know if Justin's saving any money taking 2 showers a day.
I don't know about the 2 showers.
All right, so second part of his question is, which cons are you guys attending this year? Any desire/time to write or talk about them? So I guess I guess for writing, I don't think any of us really write about any of our stuff.
I know LeClaire does. So Tionis so you can go and look up seethingginger.com. He writes about a lot of his convention coverage and stuff wherein he goes. I know he'll be at Lock and Load, and he will do a write-up as soon as he gets back about his experience. For me, it's one of those things like I spend so much time running events, getting prepared for the next one. I mean, you can ask Justin, when I go to a convention, I go ham. Like, I'm all over the place. Like, am I wrong?
I don't think you left, like, the actual convention, like, hall at Nova Open, right, for, like, 2 days.
Oh, no. I was in the Nova Open hall, Friday and Saturday for no less than 32 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's so I mean it's definitely good to be ready. I mean, I go to a lot of conventions. I mean, so this year alone, I went to Adepticon. I went to Adepticon. I went to Kingdom Con. I'm going to Lock and Load. I'll do Nova Open, PAX Unplugged, and I'm considering Warmachine Weekend.
Jesus Christ, I am jealous.
Yeah, this year I went to Adepticon. I'm going to WTC Solo Masters in Poland. I'm going to Nova Open, and I'm trying to see if I can't make Warmachine Weekend.
Gaston, you going to any cons?
I have no idea. I'm pretty lazy. So I do write up all my games, though, if you go to Warmachine and Hordes in the Minions section. So that kind of balances it out.
You know, I think so. I've really been wanting to start writing games again. I did it back in Mark II when Convergence first came out. My goal is to get in a...
Was that your Chronicles of Cock?
It was the Chronicles of Cock.
I thought that was straight to DVD.
Oh, no. It definitely got
Volume 2 was.
Yeah.
I do have a question for Gaston and Tony. I'm actually curious for an honest answer. Do you think writing about your games helps you learn about those games? Is that helpful? Because I'm looking at it from a competitive point of view. If there's a competitive advantage that I can get about writing battle reports for my games, I might start doing it. But I've never personally ever felt like that I really learned anything more than that outside of discussing the games, just with talking about it with people.
So
it will vary widely based on the kind of game that you played.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I always enjoy doing it. It's kind of like how I felt with doing the Advanced Maneuvers game in general. After I record it, as I'm rewatching it or as I'm writing it up, I start to think more about what my turns were and kind of just, hey, if I would have done this, what would my opponent have done? And for me, that's always helped because I do get I'm significantly limited in my game, especially the past couple of years. So I've always felt it'd be more beneficial for me, but it's also because I don't get the volume of games in as you guys do. So I don't know what the critical mass is to where once you get to a point where writing about it and kind of talking about it over and over again really helps that much. Because with me, I'm looking at it and looking at, hey, when I play next time with my time, what can I do different? With you guys, at least I see with you, Justin, you can just jump into another game. So I'm not sure how much of a difference it would be.
I mean, I know for me, it, Tony, I think this is the first year where I've actually played more games than you, which is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I know whenever I do a Warmachine and Hordes battle report for Advanced Maneuvers, that really kind of helps me a good bit because I've seen things where I'll be watching and I'll notice something that I like when me and Gaston were playing, we sat there and we talked about the game afterwards when I got my ass handed to me by Resnick too. But when I went back, because we talked about it, when I went back and actually watched the game footage and everything, I saw so many things I could have done differently that when I was playing my Colgrima list, I actually took note of those and actually did a good bit of them, and I feel like it did benefit me more because I learned from a mistake. And sometimes you can talk about it. Somebody could say to you, hey, what do you think I should have done better? And they could tell you. It doesn't mean you might listen. But when you physically see yourself messing up, nothing's going to make you do something different than going, man, I really fucked that up.
I think it makes the biggest difference in your losses. And what'll happen is you'll come out of a game that you've played and, you've played and you lost. And you'll have a big picture idea of why you lost that game. If I were to use a specific example, I was playing Arcadius versus Berka. And naturally, he won the roll to go first because I suck at rolling to go first with Arcadius. It just haunts me. And so my basic strategy to that was he's going to come forward towards me. I'm going to run as far forward as I can into his, just barely out of his threat range. He's going to come forward in feet and say, do you dare? And my plan was to take all my shit and run straight back. And then wait out his feet. He's going to score. And then I have Arcadius' feet to then feet back into the game. And what ended up happening is that it was a scenario that was very live. So he was able to score enough that he was able to lock me out of scenario. So, coming out of that loss in the big picture is I need to be able to put better pressure on the scenario elements in order to not lose that. When you go back and you do the write-up of that particular loss, I found that I misplaced a gremlin swarm by 2 inches. On the other side of the table, I did the same thing with long chops. I did the same thing with another gremlin swarm. I did not kill a whelp that I needed to kill. And it's those itty-bitty things like that that can actually add up to making a strategy that was probably successful in theory but didn't work on the table into something that's actually successful. Now, if you're playing against a game where you just kind of win, it's, hey, that went according to plan. Yay.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Gaston there.
Yep, I gotta agree as well. That actually does help a lot more because I do feel. No, actually, I think you summed that up perfectly. So I'm starting to paint my Gorman DC wolf now. I forgot I had it out.
The other thing that's fun is that people will always catch your rules mistakes, and you're like, yay.
Ooh, that's always a hard one. Knowing when you've messed up and like you put it out on the internet and a ton of people see it, that is for me pretty rough sometimes because like you feel like you'd played a really solid game and you're pretty happy with it, and then all of a sudden they're like, actually, you misplayed these 5 things. It's like, ooh, that sucks a lot.
Yeah, especially when they make sure to call you out about it on every single one. It's like, I recorded, I lived this game. How did you catch every single one of these, Yeah.
That happened to me back in Mark II where Jake's got caught by some lightning, and I forgot that the Thunderhead's pulse was 360, and I thought it was only 180, and I had a ton of people call me out on that.
Don't forget, and another good thing for the listeners to kind of do when you go to a convention is don't, I'm not saying be cocky and like run around like introducing, but don't be shy, because I will definitely say when it comes to Warmachine and Hordes community and stuff, like when you go to a convention, especially like myself, like just go up and like just introduce yourself, because people are here to have fun. People are here to hang out. So, get in there, and it's the only way to meet people. I've met so many amazing people who I've looked up to as both, colleagues and friends. Tim Banky, Jake Van Meter, so many other people that I wouldn't be as good of friends with today if I had not, just gone up and been such a, a social butterfly. So...
I would say the same thing back when David Carl used to work for Privateer Press. I ended up hanging out with him, and I was really fortunate because he was a great person to hang out with. Was because like I went up there and started talking to him, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but it turned out really well. We hung out for a long time.
Yeah, Dallas and I, the studio director for P3, before he was doing that. Like, he was just an amazing painter and stuff. And I just, went up and introduced myself to him. And over the years, we've just become really, really close friends. And I wouldn't change that friendship for anything. And if I had just been shy or something, instead of just going up to, some of these higher people, and, and I'm not saying hire people because, they're better than you, but hire people just because, maybe they're known for something, like that's just such an experience that you're only going to get in the you really get in the Warmachine Hordes world that you don't get in other aspects. Especially when it comes to staff. Staff is another really big one, Like, go up and introduce yourself to the staff and just say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I love this, and, especially when you have ideas and stuff, because I know our own friend Zachary Lovett, he had a list idea that, he had in his mind, not being a super competitive player. He actually talked to Tom Wan about that list. Tom Wan ended up taking all of Nova Open with it, and it was just his idea. So... you might be more on page than you know.
That's pretty awesome. That's really cool. All right. So next question. So this is from Pete McCann, and Gaston, you kind of talked to us a little bit, but this is about. So the question is, how do you go about packing your model/lists, especially big things like which 3, when trying to stick within the airplane weight limits, or do you pay extra? Do you put them in the hold, or do you try to take them on as hand luggage? So I always bring
Never.
it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say never check your bags. If you don't have to, like basically, you should never try and get yourself in trouble with authority. But when it comes to my models and getting onto a plane, especially as much time as I've put into my miniatures, like I will basically tell them, listen, like these things mean more to me than anything. And, most of the time, if you're just real direct with the flight attendants, they're not like personally invested, and they'll actually, try and hook you up and set you up for success, because they don't want an angry person on the plane and stuff. And it's like, I know when we went to Lock and Load in 2016, my dear friend Nablus, he checked his entire Crix army, and I think he checked something like 60 models, and he got back like 120 pieces. So.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Took him the better part of a year to fix it all.
Jeez.
Which, that's game time you've lost. That's inability to play. You can't go to things because all you're doing is trying to fix everything. And that was just to put everything back together, not even including trying to get it all back up to the paint, where it should be.
That's pretty rough. Luckily that hasn't happened to me, but yeah, I always bring it on, carry on as well. When I was traveling for work a lot, I was actually bringing models with me, try to see if I could hook up with any type of local players to play. And I would always bring my army with me as a carry-on. I was pretty lucky at the time where there wasn't, I was before the TEP was even out, so I was only bringing the Prime Axiom around. So I only had one huge base to deal with, and I was able to get pretty much everything in one bag. I've always used the battle foam bags, but I'd like to possibly switch to something else in the future. But yeah, no, I would always carry on.
I swear by KR, but that's me.
That's actually what I'm thinking about possibly investing into in the future. It's just, it's just another thing is what's the right time to jump into something like that.
Nova.
Yeah, I like Battle Foam. I have no problems with them.
I mean, Battle Foam does a great product. I mean, especially when you look at it. My thing is, for someone like you, Herman, who's not like completely super focused on like painting, like, that's not like a main aspect for you. Battle Foam works perfectly. They've got foam. You can get different sizes of foam, and
you can battle with it.
You can battle with the foam.
But like for me, KR is my choice because I love like keeping the paint on my models, and I don't always like super varnish them because I go for like a little bit of a higher detail. And a battle foam bag is not always the best choice for that particular thing.
Look, Devin, I will fix your painting problems right now. Start with Rust-Oleum and glob it on.
That's true. Hey, you don't have to worry about painting anymore. You're fine.
All right, what other questions we got?
He's done with me.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. David Canty asked, will you guys be at PAX Philadelphia this November, December? Yes, I will definitely be there, and I'm trying to make as many people go with
that
as
one's
possible.
PAX Unplugged, right?
Yep, that's PAX Unplugged.
Yeah,
I'll try to make that one, I think.
Huh? Yeah.
Maybe.
Justin, you going?
When exactly is this?
So it is the last.
Nobody knows. It's a mystery.
It's the last weekend in November.
Maybe. That's actually I don't have my schedule that far out. I'll have to see how broke I am after 3 weddings and WTC.
You heard it here, folks.
So are you getting divorced in
Justin's
between?
getting married
or...
3 times.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's 3 weddings you got to go to get married.
Three of my friends, 3 different friends are getting married.
To you?
They always say marry your best friend.
That is true.
They also say opposites attract. And
Look,
that is the
if,
reason
if
for
I'm
this
getting
podcast.
married 3 times between now and November, I definitely won't have money for PAX.
I feel like since you're getting married 3 times, I should get in on like one of these best man things.
I know.
Like I feel like there's room here.
Wait, you guys didn't get invited to be a best man? I got that.
That's because you're his ninja shopper.
That is true. You're
Don't lie
like,
to yourself.
You're like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this group. You're our only hope.
Oh, I mean, the internet does exist. You're only cheap hope.
Yeah, you're the only cheap hope. I don't want to have to pay for an additional ninja shopper. I love you too much.
I don't want to have to watch any more Star Wars movies.
That's hurtful. All right, so going through the questions, I think actually that's all that we have.
Nice.
Yep. So, any last thoughts before we wrap this cast up for the day?
Sirenia looks like a lot of fun.
Was it?
Sirenia looks like a lot of fun.
What the heck is Sirenia?
The Manoth, new Manoth caster. I agree. I think she's going to be a lot of fun. I just don't think I can play a list with her without the church.
I think I'm going to get her and fuck buying the church.
Does that mean you're going to be playing, you're playing, Manoth again?
It's in the same box as me going to cons.
You just have no fucking clue.
That requires planning.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That is pretty fair.
All right. Well, all right, everyone. Then thank you guys